Hello, everyone. This is the very first episode of Build First. So this is a show where two tech veterans and childhood friends build with you for you.
Amazing. We are experts, but we still got lots to learn, including creating shows and building podcasts and YouTubes or whatever we're going to be trying to do today and this week. But before we get deeper into the purpose of Build First, let's start with some intros. So Marily, if you will.
Thank you so much, Johnny. Yes, my name is Marily. I am based in San Francisco. I have worked in tech for, my entire life, really. But the past 8 years, I have been doing AI. I am a part of Google. I'm an AI product manager. I've worked with cool products like speech recognition, like augmented reality, and I just live and breathe tech and games and technology.
So, Johnny, that's me. I'm an engineer. I also love tech, and I've built tech around the world, from Greece to Sweden, in London. Currently out of my window is London, but also in New York, in Buenos Aires, in companies such as Babylon Health, Funding Circle, and currently I'm a principal software engineer at Zoopla.
Hey, I love Zoopla. Yes, so Johnny and I, we have been friends for over 30 years, and we actually have proof of that. We have a very awkward proof that we can show you. We started off, I think we took the same computer class. We were learning logo together. We were learning how to go from MS-DOS to Windows and this sort of thing. I think, Johnny, you have our very awesome awkward photo to show to folks. Here it is.
Yeah, I'll need to embed it in the video later and do some editing magic there. But I think you sent it to me on like Instagram or something. I was like, oh my God, did this really happen? How many years ago was this? Was it like, 100 years ago? It felt,
what camera did we use to take this photo? I think you had the super cool, the first digital camera that had, I don't know, like 2 megabytes of space. So we took 5 photos and that was it. But yeah, this is it.
Oh, I think I remember that. I think it was one of those that wrote on a floppy disk, if you can believe that. Not a floppy disk, like I'm making this up. 1.44 disk, what's that called? When you save, there is an icon. That icon is that thing that you put in that camera, and then you could store like 2 photos there.
It was just the coolest thing to be able to have a digital photo that you can see immediately instead of the film that you needed to develop. And we were just kids. We were, like 13? Yeah, it was super cool.
Besides reminiscing on our past, let's talk about what this show is about and what we're trying to do here. I want to catch up with you more often, and I want to build with you because even though we've known each other for such a long time, we've never actually built anything, both in tech, different companies for sure, sometimes across the globe, it happens. But now it is possible to build something together, and I think we can figure something out. We can build something between us, between being tech experts, educators, people that care a lot about diversity, inclusion in tech, that sort of thing. Maybe we can create something that will provide value to people and not just solve my own problems, which is I want to catch up more with my childhood friends.
I think this is great. And something to note about this is that most big startups and apps that receive a lot of funding don't start with the idea. They start with the people. So when you have this recipe with people that trust each other and they're smart and they know and love and live and breathe with tech, I think this is the best recipe. So while we don't have a crisp idea yet, we're here to build with you and for you. So we're excited to see where we are going. So I am a strong believer of rolling up your sleeve and just going for it. So even if you don't know what you need to do, don't overthink it. Just jump in, start doing things, and the idea will unfold itself. And this approach is fun. You can, move fast and fail, right? Or you can move fast and learn things and then go on to the next thing and just build some super cool things. So yeah, build first. This is the concept behind it. We are here to start by building and then learning, or learning as you go. And yeah, I think the first question is, what should we build first, Johnny?
So what we're thinking is, let's build the soul, let's build the brand, or let's build whatever build first is, because we want to capture an audience. We want to know who we're serving. So you should for sure build things first and not overthink, roll up your sleeves, as you say, and go for it. But you want to be listening to your users at some point to be able to pivot and make something interesting, make something valuable.
I want to encourage people, if anyone is going to watch this or the people that will watch this, to actually comment and give us some insight as to what would you like to see built? What is it that makes you passionate? Any ideas you have? So what we have so far is the name. So Build First. And the reason we came up with this concept is because we honestly were just throwing things out there like about coding and learning and teaching. And then we decided to just build. And I just love this word because it means let's just get on with it and do it. So we'd love your ideas. So if you're watching this, just tell us, what would you like to see unfolded in this show? And we're happy to bring it to you.
Yeah, an idea that we have is that maybe season 1 is how we build so how do we create the podcast feed? How do we upload to YouTube? How do we create a site? How do we build an app? How do we do those things? And the answers to your questions may arise from the things that we encounter and the problems we encounter trying to make those things happen. But maybe there will be a season 2 where we take one of your ideas and we're, all right, time to roll up our sleeves and build up what you want us to build. Exactly that. And that would be fun as well. But that's too far in the future. First, you have to build things and then you can start learning.
Exactly. And our plan is to not just have our faces shown here, but to actually share our screens and show you step by step a couple of things so that you can create it with us if you want. Now, we were thinking, okay, in creating of a show, I am thinking of the podcast, I'm thinking of the YouTube channel, I'm thinking of an Instagram, IGTV. So there are so many different ways to build a brand and establish it. I think the very first thing we did is we actually created a little landing page and we have like a really nice logo that Johnny put together in literally minutes. Do you want to talk about that, Johnny, for a bit?
I think you're talking about, let's see if the screen share feature actually works. We'll find out.
And first of all, I think that's a very good point. We were actually wondering how to record this, and we're using Riverside FM, which seems to be super cool so far. And yes, I can see your screen, Johnny, but I cannot see the entirety of it. I just see a part of it.
Well, I think that's all there is to it. I guess I'm trying to share my Chrome tab only. You can see that it's mobile first. You can't see that if you look at the GitHub, which is open source, you'll see that it has end-to-end tests actually running. So we know that if we go into production, nothing's gonna break. All of this is maybe relevant. I'm not sure. Do we want to get deeper into this? Should I start talking about how this is built in Next.js for an isomorphic web app that we're deploying to Vercel for now? We'll be buying a domain, maybe through Vercel, maybe through Google Domains. I don't really know. Is that interesting?
You and I were brainstorming. We came up with the name. So I'd love it if you expand a bit and just tell people how we went from the name to what we're looking at right now, right? Which is the very first step. I think right. This made it official that it's happening and it's a show. So yeah, just walk us through how this was developed.
So definitely the easiest thing for me is to build a website. And I was trying to restrain myself to not build a website for this because I wanted us to identify what should we be building first. Should it be the YouTube channel or the podcast feed with Anchor FM or whatever we're going to use there? I don't really know. Should we be expanding on Instagram? Like maybe you mentioned OnlyFans. Like what is that about? Maybe we should be going there or not. But at some point, I think you mentioned, should we create a landing page in Squarespace? Was it the tool that you suggested?
It's so easy to use, right? So that's why I suggested it.
It's amazingly easy. Lots of people's lives have been made better with Squarespace because they can create their website, sell their products with Shopify integrations and whatever is happening there. My suggestion first was Webflow instead of Squarespace, which is kind of similar but a bit more powerful. So anybody, even a PM, can get in there and just start moving things around and making nice pictures. But I was thinking that Next.js is what I use for my personal site. It's what we use at zoopla.co.uk actually as well. I've used it throughout the years, and it's here to stay. It's using React, which is super popular as well. It's easy to hire for. It's something people want to learn. I considered using SvelteKit, which I don't know if you've heard of Svelte recently. I don't think I would classify it as a hipster framework anymore. It's getting quite a lot of traction. The styling I did with Tailwind CSS, which is a quite popular CSS framework, styling framework. I got that nice, amazing, actually, vector from Andro.io, which has tons of beautiful vectors. It's kind of like Unsplash, but not for pictures, for vectors. but not quite, because it's, I think, one person that is drawing all of this, which makes them look quite consistent. But anyway, I thought put some things together, make it a bit more real at that point when you started bringing in Squarespace into it.
No, this is great. This made it official. And parentheses, when we edit this video, we will add the names, what they are. And we can also provide a toolkit and give you all these links in order for you to get started and just build something like that. This is such a cool page, and it happened in a couple of, 30 minutes or to an hour. So yeah, it's really great. Very, very excited.
Which is an interesting subject as well, because there is this movement to build in public, which is something that I think we may be interested in doing, like exposing those things and saying, we build it like this, here's some open source code, you can have a look, copy it, clone it, fork it, whatever you want to do, just do it. Engage with us, tell us that, I can do this better, I can do this not as well, so please help us, and we'll be very happy to engage with you.
And the beauty of the internet is that there's just so many tools available. And, I have found some articles which have pros and cons on each and everything. But honestly, I just love tutorials like this one, where you can just see the outcome and say, okay, this is what I want to do. Okay, and this video is going to help me to do it myself. So I think this is going to be super helpful.
People learning many different ways. And I've seen people that prefer seeing people do stuff or seeing live streams and that sort of thing. I sometimes do live streams, and I am sometimes those people. But I think most of the time I prefer to have a written article, so I can go through it at my own pace and not at the speed of the developer or the person presenting. Read the code, try to understand it a bit more slowly if needed, try to experiment a bit more if I feel inspired with the code itself and go in a different direction, which with a video, I find it a bit harder. And of course, you've also got workshops, which kind of combine those two, because you have some resources on the side, you're doing things on your own at your own pace, but you do have the experts there to help you through if you get stuck.
That's very interesting. I prefer learning via videos because it's kind of the summary. It's kind of the, okay, let's get on with it and let's do it. And I love having something to refer to in the back end. So, hey, maybe this is another great idea. As part of what we're doing now, we can document everything as well and have like a little PDF that we send out to people that are interested. So I think that would be nice.
And there's also the personal connection, isn't there? It's not just a wall of text. It's, these two real people are building something. So it makes it a bit more feasible, I suppose. If these two humans can do it, maybe you can do it too.
Real and relatable. And maybe, Johnny, this is a very good opportunity to talk about our education a bit, because maybe people are wondering, hey, okay, these two experts are talking to us about how they're building something, but how did they learn how to build? I think that's another great topic of discussion.
Yeah, are they experts really? So we did do the two intros kind of quickly, which definitely does not do you justice, because you've done so much. Like, one of us has met the queen and it's not me. So maybe you can elaborate a bit more.
As I said, I've always wanted to study computer science, but the educational system in Greece is a bit strange. For my master's thesis, I actually built a computer game called Virus Life, where you had a little sensor and you were walking in the room, and we had sensors in the corners so they could see where I'm at in the middle of the room. So there was a button where you could press and you could infect other people, which is a bit, controversial now with everything that's going on in the world. But anyway, I love the infection stuff so much that I actually did a PhD with the same department at Imperial College in London. I learned because I was curious. So it's one thing to be given all these like books and things like that, but it's another to actually sit down and try things on your own and learn at your own pace. And then throughout your career, you start talking about what you do, and you start giving presentations about what you do. And this is when you develop the soft skills like storytelling, which is so important.
My journey is quite different, even though it started in the same place, in the same computer lab. I did end up into doing a degree in digital systems and the education of technology, which is great. But I did find that the things taught there wasn't quite applicable. Back then, I really wanted to get into tech, I think, to solve puzzles and specifically to make video games. But that wasn't really what the courses were about. ActionScript with Flash was a way that you could make games, and I started looking into this, and it was kind of adjacent to JavaScript. That's what got me into web development, and that's what got me into getting better at web development, which made me feel even better about doing things in web development, because you love doing things that you're good at. After that, it was just practical experience and no PhDs, no further studies, nothing like that.
One thing we didn't say, John, is that you and I were playing a lot of computer games when we were younger. We were playing Toonstruck. We were playing a lot of Mario Karts. We were playing all these things. I still think you should develop a computer game one day, and I'll be the first one to fund it and buy.
Maybe that's the way to make this viral. Maybe it is build this game, and that's the thing that will make us go viral. Who knows?
Johnny, we need to create a video game as part of this. This is it. This is our calling. Oh my God, this is it.
So before we get too excited, it's all fun for me to create a website. I'm good at creating websites. We can hire a designer, get nice logos and all of that. But is that really what's the highest value play for us? So what's the first thing to build with build first? Because maybe it's not that. And I was thinking if we could do...
We need to define what impact means. And from a product perspective, at least, when you talk about impact, it means how likely are your users to enjoy or have a good experience with whatever it is you're building. And then the reason we have the effort is because when we prioritize things, we always take in consideration what value something is going to add to the users and how difficult is it to create. Obviously, if it's something with a lot of effort, it's more likely to have more value. But there are some things that you can do easily that are still equally in value. So we're trying to categorize things now. And this is an awesome tool. And this is an awesome framework for prioritization. So thank you for finding this. I had never heard of Miro before.
Good point about what's high impact and what's low impact for us. So should we be deciding some key metrics or North Stars or whatever you want to call them first? What are we hoping here? Are we hoping for an audience that just views? Are we looking for watch time? Are we looking for people emailing?
Okay, I will refer to product management again and the acquisition funnel. So number one is, hey, how many people find out about us? So how many people hear about this, which is views, right? So the more views you have, the more people are finding out about you. Number two is activation. So how many people are actually subscribing somewhere? And I think activation is so important because on every new thing we create and upload, these people will come to watch again. So I think subscribers is the most important thing. Number three is engagement. So how many of these people actually interact with what we do? But I don't worry about engagement yet because we're still figuring out what engagement means. And we are still, this is more down the line. But I think subscriptions is honestly the most important one. And the ideal platform would be subscriptions on YouTube.
Right. Why are you going for YouTube?
Because it has just so much reach. It has a wide audience. I know we may target people that are more tech savvy or that are tech lovers in a way, but I think it'd be nice to just have our content open to more people that want to break into tech as well. So I just think this is the best platform for these user segments.
Yeah, I keep hearing that YouTube is the second biggest search engine, and lots of people go to YouTube to search for things. So I think it's a great idea. We can see what people search for on YouTube, tech related. It could be, how do you start a podcast? How do you start a YouTube channel? How do you start whatever? And then try to see how it overlaps with the content that we are hoping to build. I'm not so sure about view count or subscribers with YouTube though. If somebody opens your video and they're like, oops, I don't like it, and they're out, that will also, I think, make the algorithm not like you. So seeing more of your video, having more watch time may be more interesting to track.
I do think that since we're just starting, we should definitely create some audience. So even if it's 5 people or 10 people, I think that's the key, to just make sure to have enough people that are watching us. And then as a second thing to say, okay, out of these people that are watching us, how many stay throughout the show? Because this will show us an indication of the quality and how good we're doing.
Right. So it has to be YouTube. It looks like we won't be using the Miro map. Maybe we'll use it for something else. But we're not considering other platforms. We're not considering, let's create a Discord community. Like the first thing should be put things on YouTube, get people to see them.
Yes. With that said, I would also create placeholders on Discord and just to have everything ready. And maybe we can have a poll and say, hey, we have these tools. Which ones would you like to use? But we should have a presence everywhere. So I think that's good. And number two, for the videos, I can imagine us cross-posting on a new account on Instagram, on IGTV. Maybe that's another good way to reach people.
Yeah, that's fun. Like you mentioned TikTok as well. Maybe there is a way to make like a little 1 minute summary trendy video. I don't know. Maybe we need to dance for the opening or something. Not quite sure.
Yeah, maybe we can have a teaser actually on TikTok. That sounds great.
But this also reminds me of a CEO I was working with in my earlier days at Triptease, who had exactly this problem of we needed to tell him, what do you want to build first? Because he'd always have amazing ideas and he'd always think that the moment he says the ideas, they're done. Like we've implemented, it's out in production. So the moment his sentence ends, another one starts with yet another idea, which was brilliant, very energetic, very charismatic CEO. But we need to keep him honest about this. Like, what do you want to build first? Idea A or idea B? And he'd be like, let's build both first. But that's not possible. You can only do one thing first. You can tackle a few things in parallel sometimes, cross-post to a few platforms, I guess. You can aim for YouTube and then some content, you can have it on IGTV, can push it on TikTok, who knows. You can create a podcast on the audio from the YouTube. But I'm not sure. I think we should have a clear goal of it should be YouTube.
I say YouTube and YouTube subscribers. That's my vote.
Which also means that the site becomes a bit irrelevant.
Or we can embed, or in there, we can use it for people to be able to contact us, right? Because how are you going to contact Johnny and Marley through YouTube? Write a huge comment. So it'd be nice to create a platform where we can engage with the audience a bit. And who knows, provide a section for them to sign up in our newsletter so that we can actually email people updates about us and like tools and things like that. So I think that could be interesting as well.
So newsletters, I'm very, very happy that you mentioned this because that's also one of the big things people do. Like to capture an audience, they have their own newsletters and they try to get your email address in exchange of good content that they create every week or every month or every day, depending on how productive they are on that front. And I was thinking that this could also be a good play for us to have a newsletter.
Yeah, I think this is fantastic. So strategy is YouTube for the main content, YouTube for having people to subscribe, and then a website on the side that has a form for people to enroll in our newsletter and submit any contact for any information, any ideas, suggestions, and things like that. I think that would sound good. And in the same time, see what we can cross-post in an IGTV just to see how it goes.
Right. So do you think it's more important to make the YouTube channel nice or to work on the website and the forum stuff? Like, should we be reaching out to designers to say, let's create a nice cover for the YouTube videos? Do we be spending extra time on editing to make nice transitions or create nice frames for our faces and our screen shares?
I think we need to nail the video. I think the better the quality is, the more people are going to subscribe. I think this is the main product we are producing, right? And it's not just about the content, it's about framing the content. And whenever I see a video, I don't know about you, that's not polished, I really respect it. I really appreciate it. So I would totally double down on this, and I would get a designer, or I would either go to Canvas and even, screen share and just show people what I create on Canvas for us.
That's a great point towards build first. It's very easy to get intimidated and think that I can't edit YouTube videos like people that have been doing this for like 10 years. I can't edit videos like Kurtzkizakt or MKBHD, who are now producing amazing content with amazing cameras. And some of them are whole teams of people that are doing it. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't put anything out. You can put something out. Episode number 2 is going to be great. Maybe you make this episode 0 and you archive it eventually. Maybe you expand most existence of it on the internet eventually if you feel like, it was too low quality. But build something and validate. All right, it wasn't high quality enough, or maybe the content wasn't interesting enough. Maybe you need to bring in some outside resource, which is another question. So if we edit this and it's not super high quality, you see it and you're like, okay, it's like 2 people sat in, like there's some graphics here and there, but nothing super good. What do we do? How do we take that to the next level?
First, we need to try to leverage our skills, both you and me, with tools that exist like Canva, like iMovie is great for editing things. And I would encourage people that are listening to pay the premium price for all these tools, because the freemium versus premium has such a difference. So you can get better templates, you can get better ideas. So I would just try to do anything we can on our own and see how far we get. Now, if it doesn't work out and if we're still not happy with the quality, I think we can reach out to our networks and just tweet or just post and say, hey, we're looking for a designer that can help us do this. Now, there are platforms where you can find exceptional talent like Upwork and Fiverr. You can outsource something simple as long as you have a little description written up and you can find some great information. And this could be something else that's cool that we can do, Johnny. We can write 2 or 3 different ads and just see what people come up with. Have, I don't know, our audience decide A or B, which one is better. So I think I like this as well.
Yeah, that's a fun idea that we played around for the title as well, for Build First. But the moment it came of publishing the poll in the Instagram story, I thought that if they don't choose Build First, I'll be sad, because the other consideration, which I think was Show and Tell, it was all right, but it didn't fit as well as Build First. So, I knew that no matter what the people say, I would want it to be Build First. So I didn't try to A/B test or crowdsource the decision there. But for something else, yeah, it would be super important.
And the other thing that's important is that as creators, we need to trust our gut, right? You need to trust your gut if something is right. Even if people say, hey, you shouldn't do this, I think at the end of the day, it's us that need to say, okay, it's going to be Built First. We love it. This is it. This is great. One more thing I wanted to note about editing is that editing is very important to make sure the pace is right. I like a steady flow of information that comes in from podcasts and videos and things like that. So I want to make sure that our video comes across in a very nice pace. And this is why we should edit. And this is why before going live, we need to have exercised a lot, to make sure to have like a very, very nice exchange of information that makes sense.
I've done videos before. My latest one is on Svelte, actually, which I've mentioned previously. I am using Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects for that, but it's quite lightweight because essentially it's really a screen share of me going through the process and my face in the corner, which for some content is all that matters. We'll see how it works out with the two of us. I've also been listening to Gimlet Media, who have a course on podcasts, I guess. They have a few podcast episodes about how to make podcasts. And they talk a lot about having a coherent story, having a nice pace, like keep providing insights, keep the person hooked, which is very tricky to do. But it's, again, one of those things that you start getting a feel for it the more you do it. It's nothing that you can never listen to enough episodes. You can never read enough theory to be able to come out doing it perfectly first time. So it's very important to go for it, try something and iterate. You'll keep learning on things that are live.
But the other thing is, the more you hear about the things you need to do at a podcast, the more it takes away from your authenticity and kind of the spontaneity. So I think it's very important to make sure your own self comes across throughout the content you create and not to be too overwhelmed by the frameworks and things like that you need to follow. And I think it's like a muscle that you flex and you learn to use and you make it personal. One thing I wanted to say is that I love Loom. So Loom is a tool that you can add like as a little plugin on your Chrome browser. And it literally just pops up your face at the bottom left and it records everything you do, but it shows your face. So that's very, very important. It's such a simple thing, but I've used it so much for tutorials. I think it's really great. I'm sure you've heard of Loom before, right?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, Riverside FM, as a tutorial, they have a Loom recording of how to use the latest version. It does give that extra personal touch. Like you see a person, you see Johnny like smiling at you, making jokes, which is very different than just reading my dad jokes in text in Slack.
And then I think the best part is post-processing, because this is something we should also talk about. Like, okay, you have your content. What do you do after? You have your editing tools, but what happens? Where do you upload things?
Build first
Where are
in
they saved?
3D.
No, but Loom is so great because after you record, it automatically generates a link for you that you can share to people. And you can say, okay, this is it. I'm done. This is the recording. There's no need to download. I mean, unless you want to edit, right? You just share it and it's just ready to go in the cloud.
Are you a one take type of person? Like you do one and then that's done, no edits needed? Post processing, super important. If the tool can take care of it for you, then all the best. I'm not sure if Riverside is doing anything to clean up our audio. We'll find out, or else I guess it's Adobe Audition for me to clean it up a little bit. But it's not too hard. Like nowadays, all you need to do is drag and drop a few things here and there. But it will be fun to learn how to do it even better, or well enough. And it would be fun to talk about it next time as well. That we tried this tool, we used that tool, we had a problem there, we had a huge win there. I think those things are super interesting.
I think another thing that's important is the equipment we're using. Are you using anything special other than just your laptop or your desktop?
It is the laptop camera. It's not my mirrorless camera set up to something else, which I may do in the future if we find that we do need that extra quality, if we do need that depth of field bokeh situation and not to be able to see my mirror and my balcony.
The camera you have now is pretty impressive, actually.
I think as usual with those things, it's the lighting. So in front of me, I have a nice, what's it called?
Influencer ring.
No, I don't have a ring light, but in front of me, I do have a very nice softbox. That's it. You can get a pair of them from Amazon quite cheaply. And if you have them blasting your face, then you get more light, which makes any camera better.
Is that it? Great. Well, I think, yeah, you look great. It's all very clear. I thought it's an external camera, but your inside is very important. The heat lightning plays such a huge role. And this is exactly why I have like the influencer light, the little round thingy. And my camera, because I have an external camera, has also a light around it.
I have this podcaster mic from Rode, which has been serving me well. It's a USB mic.
You need to send it to me because I bought this thing. So this is a blue snowball, right? So this is a microphone. But if you try to record yourself, the quality is very noisy. It's really, really bad. And you need to go through some custom settings on Audacity in order to make sure the feed comes well. So it's not
the noise floor stuff and that sort of thing.
And boost like yeah. So I was very disappointed because in all the samples I heard the quality is great, but there's a lot of things you need to do to get it to work right. So
it's how they get here. It's the post-processing. They put it somewhere and it cleans it up. It's not the mic itself, unless you have that deck situation.
Yeah, it needs a lot of processing and I just haven't set it up yet. So I'm actually using my MacBook's microphone now, which I think works out well.
Oh yeah, I couldn't tell. There is some background noise, but we'll see. Hopefully for the audience, we'll be able to clean that up.
Okay, well, sounds good. I think we should do a mini summary and a wrap up of everything we talked about and what we discussed, because I think there are a lot of takeaways there that we need to just point out for people.
Before we move on to the takeaways, we talked about metrics. We talked about view count or subscriber count, like hit rate of our YouTube video. But do we want a number? Do we want to say that we want to hit 1,000 views, 10,000 views, 1,000,000 views, 100 bells? Yeah, I don't know. Do we have a number that we want to shoot for?
So is that going to be just for the first episode or?
That's a good question. I'd say let's hit a timeline. Like, do we want within 3 months? Is that like too long a play? Like usually companies do things in quarters. So we could say that like by the end of 3 months, we have an episode that has X.
500 views.
No, that's too low. If you share on Instagram, click here on my latest video, like you'll have the click-through rate to get the 500 views there.
Okay. Just
if there were subs, I would say yes, but we should aim higher.
Okay. Okay. 5,000. Now that's a good goal.
10K?
10K. All right.
If I can talk about SvelteKit for 10K views, then I think we should be able in 3 months to come up with something.
10K. That's it. This is our goal. Virtual high five. That's a tool they should include. There you go.
Is there a startup for that? Is there a product for that? Feels like there should be. You connect it to the USB thing and you have like one of those little mannequins that maybe artists use to pose people. And, it moves, punk, and it high fives you.
You should build, Johnny, like a virtual
We need to find things to build that are, well within my skill set. So it needs to be digital. Although it would be super fun to build some hardware, something related, something physical. I've been thinking about design. Speaking of games before, I've been thinking that what I really want to do nowadays, it's not make a video game, but make a board game at some point. Like if in this decade, I want it to be a goal to create a board game that at least 10 people buy. And that would give me so much pleasure.
That would be a cool idea, the board game. Maybe, I know that, it may be out of scope, but let's just brainstorm and talk about it as an idea. Because, you can also have a virtual aspect. You can have a web page aspect to it. Or you can start off with a board game virtually and then actually produce the hardware because that would cost more. But I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing.
I think few things would make me happier. So audience, this is on you. If you reach out to tell us, if you keep searching Google for I want to make a board game and I don't know how, then we may just build it for you.
Yeah. Okay, we need to see. Now I need to create a campaign so that people will start searching it so that I have enough data.
Cool. So what are the takeaways?
All right. So this is Build First. Today we are trying to come up with an idea to build so that you can learn from us and you can also do it yourself. Build First. What we're talking about is the notion of just building momentum just by rolling up your sleeves and just getting on with it and just trying to build things, even though they're not perfect. Just do something, just start. So this is what we're here to help you do. There are many tools that you can use on their own. You can combine them. We talked about them a bit. We had a fun discussion with the pros and cons. And as a first episode, we just wanted to talk about what it is we wanted to build. Yeah. Any takeaways on your end, Johnny?
We're going after YouTube. And we'll be doing our best to make an episode go not viral, but hit 10K views by this quarter. That's going to be our guiding principle. Are we doing better at YouTube? And keep expanding on that.
Yeah, we need to set an actual date so that we have our deadline, we have our goal. So I think that will be great.
Yeah, I guess you can do it quarter-based if you want to keep it similar to what companies usually do. So we just entered Q2. So end of Q2 could be our end date.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. End of Q2. This is fantastic.
Before we do our show outros, maybe Marily, you can tell us what you have coming up tomorrow, I hear.
Yes, that sounds great. So tomorrow I have a course for digital product management. It's a very 101 type of course where for 3 hours, I will walk people through everything there is to know about product management. What is it? How technical you need to be, how you can go about finding roles within the product management world, and why there is so much buzz around it.
And your Instagram is @MarilyNika, right? Because we don't have a newsletter just yet. We don't even have a domain. We may buy it afterwards. But for now, go @MarilyNika and reach out if you have.
First name, last name. Thank you.
So for me, I'm in between workshops. And the last one I did right before Easter called Pretty Interactive React. And now I need to figure out what to do next, plan it out. It's going to be in 3 weeks. I think there is enough time to get another cracking workshop together. Until then, feel free to reach out at Magrippis in various platforms, including Instagram, even GitHub, if you want to raise a PR against me for whatever reason. Go for it.
Sounds good. Thank you all so much. Thank you for watching until the end of the first episode. We're very excited to see what comes next and to reach 10K.
Do we have an outro catchphrase or is that it?
Oh, let's build first.
Moments later.
No, I don't have something. And we don't need to have something just to have it. There, I'm going to stick my ground.
I'll give it a go and say that until next time, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. It's been a pleasure to have your attention and keep building.
Keep building. Thank you. I like this. This is really nice.
The mug.
No, I think what we're doing, but the mug is amazing too.
All right.